Federation versus Freedom by Babasaheb Ambedkar. 3. The structure of the federation. A. The federal legislature. The federal legislature is a bicameral legislature. There is a lower house, which is spoken of as the Legislative Assembly, and there is an upper house, which is called the Council of State. The composition of the two chambers is a noteworthy feature. They are very small chambers compared with other legislatures, having regard to the population, and the area as the total membership of the Federal Assembly is 375, and of the Council of State 260. These states are divided in a certain proportion between British India and the Indian states. Of the 375 seats in the Federal Assembly, 250 are allotted to British India and 125 to the Indian states. In the Council of State, out of the 260 seats, 156 are allotted to British India and 104 to the Indian states. It may be noticed that distribution between British India and the Indian states is not based upon an equalitarian principle. It is possible to take the population as the basis of representation. It is also possible to take the revenue as the basis of representation. But neither of these has been taken as the basis of distribution of seats. Whether you take population as the basis or whether you take revenue as the basis, you will find that British India has been underrepresented while the Indian states have been overrepresented in the two chambers. The method of filing the seats is also noteworthy. The representatives of the British India in both the chambers will be elected. The representatives of the Indian states, on the other hand, are to be appointed, that is, nominated, by the rulers of the states. It is open to a ruler to provide that the representatives of his state, though appointed by him, may be chosen by his subjects. But this is a matter which is left to his discretion. He may appoint a person who is chosen by his people, or he may, if he pleases, do both, choose and appoint. In the final result, a state's representative is to be appointed by the ruler as distinguished from being elected by the people. In the case of British India, the representatives are to be elected, but here again there is a peculiarity which may be noticed. In the case of all bicameral legislatures, the lower house, being an unpopular house, is always elected directly by the people, while the upper house, being a revising chamber, is elected by indirect election. In the case of the Indian Federation, this process is reversed. The upper chamber will be elected by direct election by the people, and it is the lower chamber which is going to be elected indirectly by the provincial legislatures. The life of the Federal Assembly is fixed for a term of 5 years, although it may be dissolved sooner. The Council of State, on the other hand, is a permanent body not liable to dissolution. It is a body which lives by renewal of a third part of its membership every 3 years. Now, the authority of the two chambers to pass laws and to sanction expenditure may be noted. With regard to authority to pass bills, some constitutions make a distinction between money bills and other bills and provide that with regard to money bills, the upper chamber shall not have the power to initiate such a bill, and also that the upper chamber shall not have the authority to reject it. It is given the power only to suspend the passing of the bill for a stated period. The Indian Constitution makes no distinction at all. The money bills and the other bills are treated on the same footing and require the assent of both the chambers before they can become law. The only distinction is that while according to section 37, a bill which is not a money bill may originate in either chamber, the money bill according to section 37 shall not originate in the upper chamber. But according to section 3(2), a money bill needs the assent of the upper chambers as much as any other bill. With regard to the authority to sanction expenditure, here again there is a departure made in the accepted principles of distributing authority between the two chambers when a legislature is bicameral. According to section 31(7), the annual financial statement of estimated receipts and expenditure shall be laid before both chambers of the federal legislature and shall, of course, be open to discussion in both the chambers. Not only are they open to discussion in both the chambers, they are also subject to the vote of both the chambers. Section 34(2) requires that the expenditure shall be submitted in the form of demands for grants to the Federal Assembly, and thereafter to the Council of State, and either chamber shall have the power to assent to or refuse any demand, or to assent to any demand subject to a reduction in the amount specified therein. It will thus be seen that the two chambers are co-equal in authority, both in the matter of their authority to pass laws and in the matter of sanctioning expenditure. A conflict between the two chambers cannot end by one chamber yielding to the other if that chamber does not wish so to yield. The procedure adopted for the resolving of differences between the two chambers is the matter of joint sessions. Section 31(1) deals with the procedure with regard to joint sessions where the conflict relates to a bill. Section 34(3) relates to the procedure where the conflict relates to all the differences with regard to sanctioning of expenditure. The end.